And we'll open the floor for questions. Well, y'all couldn't wait to ask questions last week. Yes, sir.
I just have a very simple question about the last image that was up there. And it's very attractive, and if everybody in town pretty much did that, then it would really be wonderful. But in that particular one, what about the standing water and mosquitoes?
Goes away in less than 8 hours on that particular site. So part of the process, you can't just dig a hole or blade off a piece of ground. You have to do some things that are can't compact it. So a lot of times we'll over excavate at the bottom, put in maybe a if it's big enough. That site just had some hand dug gravel filled areas. So you kickstart that infiltration process. And you have to do the math. You know, you have to know how big your capture area, your rooftop is, and how much water you're going to see on a rainfall. That site, you know, the goal is to capture usually a 1 to 2 inch rainfall on the site. That's just a standard goal we have. Yeah, you're going to have bigger rains, so you have plan in an outlet so it can get out. You know, work with civil engineers a lot. You got to make sure to keep me out of trouble. So, but that site. It's in central Lubbock, drains out in a day or less, so there's no mosquito problem. It's actually solving part of the mosquito problem by not putting that water downstream in standing areas.
Where is that? I want to go look at it.
That is Ed and Cecilia George here in Lubbock. It's I want to say it's near Knoxville, about 40, 46, 45th. It's been a while, been a few years since that's just a real watershed project for me, literally. I mean, it's one of those with a client who was just on board, and that she is a great thumb too, so that helps out.
I saw somebody take it to the extreme the other day. I drive by a house and somebody had put down artificial turf as their lawn, which you may be able to study now because now their kids won't be able to play in the front yard in the summer because it's going to be 150 degrees. The other question.
I want to say that I actually use artificial turf. They say, "Oh my God, who are you?" I use it's a tool that I use, and I'll tell you, there's a place and time for almost any material, and I use it as a permeable paving. So it actually drains really rapidly. You put crushed gravel under it as a standard. So you've got a built-in permeable paving product. I like to put trees over it.
You don't have to go
Lots of trees. So
I want to know where the grass is that you only have to mow once a year. Just sign me up for that stuff. Yes, sir.
On the alleys, now we use them for utility lines, trash collection, and all of that. How do you? I can see a lot of people saying,
well, our city planner has looked at this and is quite encouraged because there still is within each lobby, each block, an L-shaped alley, which gives them a place for relocating them. Within the super block concept, everything comes out, which is much more difficult.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, same topic. I'm struck by that. The idea is fantastic, but to help move this along, it will help to demonstrate economic revitalization of the downtown as well. And so, is that also part? You have a partner who does that economic analysis, because we need to make that repay and bring people back in to shop.
Well, probably our strongest advocate at this moment is Mark Rager. And Mark McDougall, and that half of the equation is less enthused. There's still more about the super blocks, but they're able to do those numbers. So when you look at that's why what those projects we're trying to maintain significant residuals, so we don't tear everything down. At the same time, give enough property for substantial development. So it's really a fairly simple concept. How it gets applied is in the hands of people like Mark Rager and Mark McDougall.
Yes.
Like thinking about like you as an architect and the rest of the like talking about energy efficiency and all those sorts of things, is there any way that we as researchers can develop a lead light thing for a landscape to say that this landscape is more
Yeah.
alluded to was, how does this work when you get into those spaces that you have, low income populations or maybe some other things going on, homeless? I'm not sure what other kinds of things you deal with. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Like what happens when you find those high extremes in, maybe one place where you can't afford to do a really great redesign versus a place where the resources are lower, that something needs to happen there.
Yeah, there's definitely a push more towards trying to make sure that these that inequalities like that don't exist as much. But research has led us to this point where we're recognizing it now because we have the information. But the city that's been studied the most for this issue is Phoenix, and seeing that their low income, low socioeconomic areas are also the hottest, have the least drainage space, have the least air conditioning usage in a city like Phoenix, so it's not good. So what a lot of researchers have done is try and push that forward, try and recognize that that's where a lot of the targeted adaptation and mitigation needs to be going on within the city, and then provide ways for people to handle the heat, such as opening cooling centers nearby. They've done a lot of social surveys in those areas, and just having urban planners and landscape architects come on board and understand that we need more water or trees here, but we need to do it in a sustainable way. In a city like Phoenix that doesn't have dairy, like water is harder to reach, and understanding those practices. And that's people recognizing that more, but providing the evidence base is what's needed, and that's where I come in with my measurements. That's what I try and do for.
Jennifer, I'm trying to understand the last graphic that you showed
Yeah.
and the Toronto data
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that you had on the left edge, it showed the scale. It was 22.5 to 25 degrees C along that scale, and the park showed some things there. But you referred to 5 or 6 degrees C. Did I misunderstand the graph?
So the average, yeah, so that was a bit of a complicated graph to throw up in that top, but it was just showing the decrease in air temperature that a person would experience if they went through that tiny park within an urban area. So it was data we collected in Toronto in 2011, I think, and we did a few different parks, and the main message from that is that park cooling islands in general in the literature have been shown to range in terms of the amount of cooling they can produce from like 3 to 8 degrees Celsius. For that specific graph, I think it was 5 degrees Celsius that we found, the maximum cooling from the street to within the park. And that was to demonstrate what we can do by conserving these spaces, by making them resilient, by making sure that they're not taken out of urban areas, because they essentially act as natural air conditioners. It obviously depends on the composition of the park and if there's water available, if it's dry or moist and such. And then to compare it to what kind of temperatures we might be expecting with the changing climate, and to say that these can make a big impact.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the magnitude. The entire chart was 2.5 degrees. And the line
So it was
didn't go
just to
top
show
to
a
bottom.
delta. Yeah, just to show a delta in air temperature from street. It might have averaged 27 degrees on the street and then dropped to 21 in the park and then went back up again in air temperature.
Yes, sir, about that.
It's surprising that when you talk about what cities you study the most, you came up with another huge name. Phoenix, I thought you were going to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It brings up my question. Tesla has recently announced solar panel roofing, which would be aesthetically pleasing and so forth. Do you have any idea whether they've incorporated estimates of how that might change the heat balance and a regular roof versus a solar panel roof?
This is probably the number one question we get when you talk about solar and then cool roofs at the same time. I don't know for Tesla specifically, but when you're trying to incorporate solar roofs on that roof, it's helpful to not attach it directly to the house so that the heat doesn't conduct into the house. They absorb heat and they are dark. So even just giving them a foot of space off the top of the roof is helpful. But for Tesla, they're designing the panels that are directly attached, and I don't know how hot those get. Sorry, I don't know if they're reflective at all either. So they might have considered that in their design. And obviously the direction that they're facing is important to get as much solar exposure as possible, but that results in the most heating as well. So there are going to be trade-offs with using decorative.
Well, again, in terms of aesthetics, if you want to have them on a south-facing roof, your neighbors might not like that either way. But if they look like a regular roof, then
yeah, exactly.
do it.
Keep them out of your hair. Yes, sir.
What do we know about the trade-offs? Where you can conserve water, but if you don't irrigate your lawn, it's going to be hotter. So you're either saving water or you're increasing the temperature. How do you weigh
Kind of
those two?
zero-escaping versus not zero-escaping.
I don't have any direct study, to talk about. So you may talk about the heat island, work, but I would say that there is soil moisture is really where I would go towards. Not having moisture locked up in so much in the vegetation, but in the soil itself as an insulator to frequent changes in temperature. I think native plants do a lot, for that. So I think there's the typical plant you're irrigating all the time in a very short root zone. It's a lot of that water evaporates anyway, and so it kind of goes hand in hand with creating this just that different. There's a totally different, I guess, soil profile, root zone profile that goes along with that. But that's an interesting question. That I see a lot more related to gravel, maybe rock gardens or something. expanses of just exposed rock. There's definitely, some challenges with that. But that's why, say, seeded, a vegetated ground cover is always better.
And I can add, I think, because I think their steeping differs a lot in Lubbock compared to California and Phoenix. And so the studies therefore are going to give you different answers as to what's good, what uses less water, what results in the least energy usage. I know that if you're thinking about like a very steep yard that is like the gravel and dirt, like you might see in a lot of these places in Phoenix, or that California is actually giving like rebates for, I think. It results in higher daytime temperatures and lower nighttime temperatures because you don't have the moisture in the air around the house. And so that's the trade-off that people can decide how they want to deal with. If they're not home during the day, then maybe they're okay with that. And then it's going to differ if you're steeping with the native grasses in Lubbock. But I think that whether you're zero steeper or not, shade can actually decrease the temperature substantially and then decrease the loss of water from the surface. And then therefore hold it in and then you don't have so much sensitivity of the property. But that's what I know in general about the daytime versus nighttime.
There must be there's obviously a calculation where you have a tipping point between how much landscape you have to have along a standard lot in Lubbock that has to be vegetated, and what side of the yard is best to vegetate compared to change, because obviously if you're on an east side or a west side or a north side, your temperatures are very different. And so there must be, I think one of the things that we might want to look at is if you're going to do a plan for Lubbock, what is the best ratio between vegetation and non-vegetation and what side of the yard? Because one of the other things I've noticed around Lubbock is they don't pay attention to how they orient houses when they build them, or how many windows face west, or how many face, because they don't pay attention to that. But that's a big impact on how much heating and cooling goes on in a house.
That's all by permanent design.
Well, it is,
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
vegetation on the south side, blocking the south side and not highest
Right.
time.
And what type, right?
Right, but I don't know.
Well,
In terms of design of
it's
windows.
not, well, I wasn't likely thinking the urban scale. There's nothing really scientific about this, but our goal for downtown is to take it from 6% planted to 20%.
Sure.
That's not a scientific number. This is a goal.
So one of the things that you mentioned, right? So heat also determines how much is being reflected back and how much is being absorbed. So on the picture that you show, where there's black buildings, so one of the first things that we think of is, do you know if the color white is going to be strong in making new buildings?
So there were some for that for buildings. I know colors like white roofs are being used a lot more, but they're trying to find other colors that will have the same performance without like wanting to highlight. And you can't just make every roof white. Or green roofs. Those are all expensive. And then in terms of colors, you can definitely see when you go further south, they're using lighter colors for the buildings, and that comes from lessons from Europe again. Mediterranean climates, you can look at buildings in Miami and go find these buildings in the Mediterranean kind of. So,
I'm curious to hear a little bit about your experience with decision makers. I know you have, the owner, decision maker, and then city planners, decision makers. Have you had any engagement with like the quasi-regulatory environment, like homeowners associations? Because there's like this conundrum. Well, in Dallas, we had it where there's water restrictions. You cannot use the water, but then the homeowners association will give you fines if you didn't water your lawn. So is there any kind of, there's this conflicted quasi-regulatory environment. Do you have experience with that?
Well, there are homeowner associations in Dallas that prohibit solar panels specifically. They might change if it's a new aesthetic. So, yeah, those issues are out there. But I was thinking about, the grass. The city, the city law. What bench is you're going to call and make you mow it?
For instance, the weed ordinance, one of the first lawns, the meadow lawn, no lawn, no drama, and, of course, it got tagged, weed violation, so we used it as, we crafted a letter to the, city. And he actually encouraged them, they took it as an educational opportunity, so it actually, became a standard for the code, officers to come by and look at that lawn, that landscape, to understand that it was, this is a native plant, and this is very intentional, and that it's doing a lot of good things. And so that was a good experience that I've had in Lubbock. It's 30th and T, Pink House, gone by, it's never been moved. It's 15 years plus, a single woman planted it herself, so anybody can do it. I mean, she's,
In Bel Air, the Friends of Bel Air Parks took over all the park maintenance, so they could control when things are mowed, when things are not mowed, and how things are pruned. They had Saturday classes on Japanese pruning, so they could get volunteers to prune materials in a proper way. The cities aren't, they're not our best maintainers.
you get into.
I mean, they're real good at what they do, but it's one thing fits all.
And of course, they won't let you have goats out in front of you.
The regulations are there. There's a lot of people that'll try to get away with anything. I've stood in line, with my plans with my client, and another person has the same plan review with their plans. And, it's like a chicken scratch. There's no professional seal on it, no thought, no calculation. So the regulations are there for a reason, but we all have to try and funnel through there. So cities are, you have to have a different approach. You have a different idea. With
In the 2020 visions for all of that whole process, it was online. And I'm sure you're well familiar with it. So it was sort of a whole backlash against xeriscape. But the images that would come up were really xeriscaping. They weren't xeriscaping. So there's a lot of sort of.
Just a point of information, I sit on the Lubbock Water Advisory Committee, and one of the things we've been looking at is construction of the whole building and everything, but that's involved, is encouraging citizens not to use treated water to water the landscapes. And thus, it gets into the building so you don't penalize someone when they do that. And you said you encourage it the other way. So it sounds like to me, some of you guys may need to come in front of our committee as we're trying to make a recommendation to city council. Because the sense I'm getting from the studies that are going on is that audits for individuals will lead to more water savings. And for example, changing how you water your yard and what's in the design and everything like that, than buying the low flow toilet, which will just flush twice. Because it is
Flush 3 times.
I mean, that tends to be the study, that an audit and educating those who want to do it. So I was wondering if any of you had been talking to Audrey Spears in the water department. Would you accept an invitation if I get one for you? Because it sounds like there's some things that if you go to a program where the city is willing to pay for someone to come to your house and say how to save water, some of the things you guys are talking about should be part of the package.
But my experience with that, and maybe you guys have a different experience, if it's about advocacy, you really have to go to the city council members. The department heads are really about enforcing the ordinance, and they get little or no benefit for being innovative. But if it comes to them from a council member, I mean, they can.
This is a committee that belongs to you as citizens. It was designed to advise the departments and the council at the same time.
Yeah, I'm one of those too. I learned from you. Tell me how it works.
I think one of the big things that the city of Lubbock needs is a demonstration garden. We call it a nature center, we do lots of things. We don't really have that. Yeah, we have an arboretum. Yeah, we have, a few gardens that the city worked on years ago, but we don't really have a public place where we're educating people about things like, about how much water this uses versus that. Anybody been to Lakeburg Johnson Wildflower Center? I don't know if they still have it, but they used to have this wonderful little, you walk through and you see, okay, this landscape looks like this, it uses this, this landscape does this. So you kind of see it, feel it, taste it, and see the numbers behind it. Utah, Salt Lake City is a water conservation district that has South Jordan, I think, South Jordan Water Conservation District. Wonderful garden there. People go there, they just to enjoy it, what they're learning. They got signs on everything where you can see. We don't really have that. I think that would go a long way. So people can see it for themselves. Try to build that into the campus, working here for 10 years because I know people come here and take ideas. They see things and like, I want that. I want to do something like that. There's very little didactic information out there.
I know we've got some other questions, but unfortunately we've got a class coming in at 1, so we kind of have to get out of here. I'm sure they'd be happy to answer your questions individually out in the hall afterward. But before we get out, let's give all our panelists another hand.